So just want to sort of say, so this morning up at Grantham, up in Lincolnshire, basically with the turf farm. Now, I've known Guy for probably 15, 20 years within the turf industry, and effectively Guy produces a lot of the turf for us. Absolutely fountain of knowledge, and I want to ask Guy some various questions today that literally been sort of quite topical, which we've been asked by our sort of landscapers and domestic fire owners that they want answering. So I'll be asking Guy today and sort of picking his brains and basically trying to explain exactly from your point of view what goes into turf production, and obviously what's sort of on the sort of top of the agenda in terms of climate change or anything else. Obviously, can you explain to them obviously where you are and obviously your background?
So my background is farming. I'm a farmer's son. Then went into turf growing at a young age of 18, and I'm still at a young age now. So, but I've been growing turf, let's say, for a lot of years. Still learning. Every day is a new day. Forever looking and trying to be better. Looking at different techniques with chemicals and various other things we've talked about previously that are disappearing, forever thriving to be better, and how we're going to do it to achieve top quality turf.
Guy, so can you try and explain what is turf farming?
Turf farming, so we are essentially a farmer. We're growing a crop from seed to turf, and we produce a product, but it's a grass product, turf as we know it. But we're working with farming, we're working with the elements, we're working with soil types, weather in particular. It just happens to be turf.
And so just to explain a bit more detail, look, the land we're using, or you're using for turf production, was last year used for potatoes.
Possibly.
The year before could be used for carrots.
Possibly.
In some turf farms, that land can also be used in pigs, free-range pigs. So effectively, it's effectively sort of taking a turf crop for a couple of years, but it's in rotation with other crops to make sure the fertility of the soil is kept up. Is that right?
Yes, with some farmers we do, all the land is rented, so with some farmers we do end up, crop rotating with all the crops you just mentioned, George. Sometimes we will take a field on for the first time after a crop.
Yep.
So often, like this farm at Grantham, we will get the field back in rotation maybe 3-4 years after we handled it previously.
And then just finish off in terms of actually the length of time the grass is in the ground. You're looking at sort of between 12 to 14 months as a production cycle, roughly.
Yeah, we are.
Roughly,
that's the sweet spot. Yeah.
And again, within that period of time, you're looking at sort of mowing that grass literally in peak season every sort of 2 or 3 days.
Every other day.
Every other day, are you? Every other day. And again, throughout that production cycle, then maybe you might be mowing it 200 times.
Correct.
in that production cycle.
Yes.
Yeah?
Easy.
You're giving that fertiliser 10, 12 times.
Correct.
In that cycle. And again, you're going and spraying it for herbicides probably 4 or 5 times, I'd have thought.
Correct.
Yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into turf production, all right? However, from your point of view, to try and produce a roll of turf that's green, that's strong, that's consistent every day of the year, no matter what the weather throws at you, is a tough ask. And I do appreciate everything that you guys and the first turf farm puts into it, because I know it's a tough gig. But say literally that are the demands that we're putting on you, because the turf is not produced in a factory. It's not produced basically in a sort of a controlled environment, and the weather is throwing a lot of things at you, and I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I think that's a key point, is that we are growing turf in the elements. It's not in a greenhouse, so we can't control, the weather. We can't control it. We can't turn it on and off with moisture, with temperature. Soon we're coming into winter, so all this turf stock here at this farm and our other farm in the Vale of York, it's all been subject to probably one of the worst droughts it's just had. Now it's coming into cool season, when we've got top growth, but we're unsure about the root growth.
Yeah.
And what effects does that have? So we've got to spend a lot of time and a lot of effort, living on this plant, living on the product to turn it around and turn it into what we hope is consistently, continually top quality turf.
So, Guy, in terms of the turf production, what sort of machinery is essential to produce turf, and obviously how does it work?
Okay, so let's start from the bare soil end of the crop. We need the right. Before machinery, we need the right soil type and the right ingredients to. We can't just grow turf anywhere.
That's a really good point, because look, basically our turf farms is based at Olney and St Albans. We've been farming for centuries as a family, and if I could grow turf on our farm, I would do. But we've got the wrong soil type. We've either got basically a heavy clay soil, or we've got a gravelly soil. Well,
yes.
Gravel soil and harvesting blades don't mix.
No.
Also, in the middle of winter, if I try and walk on our fields, literally I go down a foot. Whereas obviously middle of winter, we can get an arctic on these fields, and literally you might go down half an inch. Yeah. And so the free draining soil you have available to you obviously is absolutely critical. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to have the water to irrigate. We've got to have the drainage so it doesn't stand and wet and we lose too much turf underwater. We've got to be on the right land to get the machinery in. We can't have the clay content has to be less than 3%.
Yep.
Stone content has to be basically 0. And good access for lorries, irrigation, and then a farmer that you can rent the land off.
And then when you take the land on, you go through, I presume you do a flat lift or a subsoil, which basically means you get the air back into the soil again, is that right?
Correct. So we subsoil to get rid of any risk of compaction. Again, maybe for a risk of water standing on that field. So key ingredients for machinery are, it's ploughed in a conventional way, just like land would be. Yep. But it's the seed drill. So the first thing that you've got to get right is seed distribution. And we don't actually buy that machine, we make it. We've spent a lot of time over a lot of the years planning and designing the right seed drill for the job to get the seed distribution 100% right. It's not just the seed rate, it's the even broadcasted distribution that is 100% important.
And there's 2 points in that. One is basically, I keep saying to a lot of my landscapers and a lot of my team, is that the grass doesn't just need air above, it needs air in the roots to allow it to grow. Mm-hmm. Right? There's a lot of oxygen is required in the roots. And secondly, when we say, if you've got any bare patches in your lawn, you're mixing your seed in the soil first and then spreading it out. To go and have somebody basically mixing seed and a bit of soil in a bucket around here and literally seeding the whole field is impossible. So you're trying to replicate that with a machine that is going and basically agitating the seed and the soil together to try and make sure you get an absolute perfect mix at the right level, so it's not too deep, not too shallow, so the birds are going to pinch it off, to make sure that the strike happens perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's getting that all right. Then you're hoping, you've got to weather right for the best take and the best. It's all about distribution and getting the seed level right, and then the take that is so important. So if you get a good strike of seed getting in at the right time, you get then top quality turf really from day one. Yep. The writing's on the wall. So if you get that bit right and you get the seeding and the timing right thereafter. So what after that do we need? Well, obviously mowing is critical. We need a choice of different mowers. We'll have rotary mowers and we'll have cylinder mowers. And a mixture of the two depending on the weather throughout the crop's life from seeding to harvesting.
And the reason why you do that is, again, basically the more you cut, the frequency of cut dictates the basic density of the sward, right?
Yeah.
Effectively, if you go and cut your hedge 5-6 times a year, you end up with a really, really dense hedge. Same thing with basically with turf. The more you cut it at that consistent cut height, the more frequency the grass tends to spread sideways rather than go up. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why the finishing mowers are there, to try and create that sort of real dense sward and get that perfect finish to create that wow factor. When the rolled turf is unrolled, it looks fantastic.
Absolutely.
And then again, obviously, when the grass is growing very, very quickly indeed, a lot of grass clippings on top, you basically go across and you basically vacuum basically all the clippings off.
Yes.
Otherwise, basically, you end up with the whole sort of multitude of mulch basically on top of the grass, and it blocks light and creates disease and all sorts of other problems that sort of comes with it, right? So, is that fair?
I mean, now at this time of year as well, where, we've just come to hedgerows, headland sides, this will have been swept.
Yep.
You can see they've been in. Here we have a leaf blower that will either blow the leaves to the side or a sweeper that will collect them.
Guys, so obviously you'll sit there and you'll plan your next year's cropping and you'll work out, okay, look, there's 12 months there, right? Okay, so if I plant that seed there in today, 12 months time, that turf's going to be ready. How do you really go and determine when that turf is ready for harvesting?
is determined from day one, from when we put the seed in the ground.
Okay.
So, and I spend my life wearing my boots out, walking turf, making sure that the turf is moving forwards every day as it needs to. So yes, I've got a crop plan that shows from the day one when the field was sown, and every field was sown, and the expected day of harvest. And that's a moving crop plan that I've got that works over 3 and 5 years.
Yeah.
That's fine. But to make sure that works, so on paper that's fine, but you've got to make sure that works.
Yeah.
And so the only way to do that is to walk the crops every day and make sure that that crop is moving forward in every shape and form that's going to meet that requirement.
Yep. So Guy, how would weather affect harvest timing? And I'd probably sort of maybe answer it for you a little bit, is that ideally you want to be harvesting turf when there's not too much moisture on the leaf, when there obviously it's not literally too frosty or the frost just gone out of it, when you're not absolutely it's lashing down with rain, and it's not 35 degrees. However, the orders that come in from our customers to us, and I'm sort of saying, Guy, I need 6 lorries, and when it is extremely hot or extremely wet, how do you go? What considerations do you sort of take into account to try and make sure that you're harvesting that turf for us when we want it, but at the same time trying to be sympathetic with the grass?
I think we do harvest turf all year round. Again, back to starting with the land type allows us to do that. We do battle with the elements because it's a growing crop, so we battle with the droughts, but we've got to correct that with water.
Yeah.
We battle with wet conditions when really it's too wet and we shouldn't be going, but hopefully we work seriously hard to make sure you don't see, or the customer doesn't see that problem. So again, it's tricky. You see the turf when you roll the turf out and see how good it is. That turf has been probably through a very hard life, but we've done our best, to adjust to whatever demands it needs and cater for within its lifetime.
So Guy, in terms of basically fertilising this sort of time of year and feeding the lawn, we touched on it probably early on, but obviously we've got sort of 3 main elements. We've got nitrogen, phosphate and potassium. In the spring, summertime, we want lots of nitrogen, which effectively means you've got lots of top growth, a lot of lush green growth. In the wintertime, and now, we need to basically be feeding the roots. The roots basically with potassium and potassium.
Correct.
To try and get the roots down, to get them stronger, to basically absorb more nutrients out of the soil and to get stronger for the spring. Yeah?
Yeah, we want a small amount of nitrogen now.
Yep.
Because that would encourage, the turf is basically going slowly as it cools down. It's going to be going dormant. We don't want to be forcing it to try and grow.
Yep.
We're just going to get soft growth and cause disease. So back off on the nitrogen. We're on very sandy land, so you can't back off totally. You've got to be aware of that. But yeah, switch it from high end to low end, and potash and possibly phosphate depending on the soil.
Yeah, no,
soil type.
fantastic. Thank you.